Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Place in the Sun digital event, the first of its kind. And this is our session focusing on Florida, but we're specifically looking at destinations within Florida. So whether you're looking in the Disney Central area, perhaps the West Gulf Coast or the East Coast, we've got people here today, four kind experts who've given up their time to come and share their wealth of knowledge about Florida and each of the different areas that I've mentioned. So we're going to be looking at destinations, and we're also going to be looking at the types of property that you can expect to be able to buy in each of those destinations, and the benefits and the reasons why you might choose those types of property. My name is Richard Way, and I'm an international property journalist, former editor of A Place in the Sun as well. And what I'll do is I'll let each of our panelists introduce themselves quickly to themselves, and say a bit about their experience, the company, their company, and the services that they offer. Something else to mention is we do want questions from you. Things are going to come up along the way. I'm sure you've already got questions. So if you please use the Q&A facility on your dashboard for that, and then I'll pass them on to, I'll direct them to the relevant panelists for the answers. The other thing I should point out that this is the first Florida webinar that the Place in the Sun digital event is doing, but we are going to have what we're calling our masterclass session, which will be on the 20th, Sunday the 20th of September. And we're going to really nail down some of the finer details of buying in Florida, including the buying process, mortgages, how you work with your agent or your realtor. So going to really look at the finer details of what you need to know. So today we're going to focus more on destinations. So if we don't cover everything to do with the buying process, that's why we hope you'll come back on the 20th of September. So that's enough from me for now. What I'll do is I'll just go around and ask each panelist to say hi and introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Zoe. Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
And you're out in Florida, aren't you?
Yes, in Florida. We're based in Orlando and the Disney area. And our company is called Homes of America Realty. And we've been doing this now since the 1990s. I hope the years aren't showing. But it's my family business. Some of you that know Homes America might know my parents, Howard and Janet. And we've been doing this for a long time. Have very good experience in the real estate side of things, the property management, the rentals, mortgages, helping people to move over to Florida, businesses, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, we're here. We're happy to be here, and thank you for having us. And anything we can do to help out, just ask those questions.
And just to set the scene a bit, what's the temperature like where you are now?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We're just warming up. In English terms, it is about 26 degrees. And I think we're going to get a high around kind of 33 degrees today. So we've got lovely Toy Story type skies out there, nice blue skies with white fluffy clouds. And yeah, we should be good today. Nice, decent temperature.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. John, hi, John Penny.
Good morning. I'm John Penny, and I've got one of my agents, Nick Carroll. We usually come over to see you at the NEC right now. We would actually landed this morning is where we would have been. But we're based here in Kissimmee. We are looking at the Central Florida area around the Disney World, and then we also have an office over in Melbourne on the East Coast. So we try to take care of people who have maybe graduated out of the Disney locations and kids have grown up and whatnot, and they would like something on the beach. So we offer two different locations, but we help with everything from property management, mortgages. If you want to just lock and leave, we kind of do a little bit of everything. So we're glad to be on and glad to answer questions and kind of help guide you through the process.
Right, thank you very much. And we're going to head over to the Gulf Coast now, where Pat is on the line. Hi, Pat.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Pat Tan. My company is Your Global Agents team at Coldwell Banker. So I've lived in Sarasota on the west coast of Florida since 1997, and my business has been around for 16 years now. We focus very much on working with international buyers and sellers in the area. We cover from St. Petersburg and Clearwater in the north all the way down to Naples in the south. I'm actually based in Sarasota, so I'm a little bit biased, just to put that out there up front. I love living here. But we very much focus on international buyers, especially UK buyers for obvious reasons. Two of my agents are from the UK too. So we are missing the shows and very glad to connect with you virtually.
Thanks. Look forward to hearing more about the West Coast a bit later. Thank you. And Alistair, who's not in Florida.
No, I am in sunny Scotland today. And good afternoon to everybody who's joined us this afternoon. Really great event ahead for you. I hope we're going to take care of a lot of the questions that you have. Similarly to Pat and Zoe and John, Alistair Brown International are a international based real estate company. We have an office here in the UK. We have also an office in Orlando, Richard, as you know. Working in very similar markets to John and Zoe, and also now on the East Coast that we're going to share a little bit about today, the world famous Space Coast. So just south of Daytona, we're going to share a little bit about a newfound destination that we think people might be interested in, as well as the ever popular Central Florida destinations. So looking forward to today, Richard.
Thanks very much. Just to get started, it'll be useful to know what the actual buying landscape is like at the moment, what the market is like for you guys. Pat, what's it like on the West Coast? We know what we've been through this year with COVID, and the way it's affected travel and that sort of thing, but is there still good interest there?
Yeah, we're actually very busy. We had a very quiet March and April because of the virus, but there's a lot of pent-up demand, so people started coming back into the market in May, and July and August were record-breaking months for us.
Really?
A lot of traffic from the US, obviously, even from other parts of Florida. We have people relocating onto our coast.
Yeah.
Traffic coming down from other parts of the US, but we're still seeing international buyers. We just recently closed on a investment property for a Swiss buyer. Then I have an English lady who bought a home because she wants to come here and train for tennis. We have IMG Sports Academy, which was started by Nick Bollettieri many years ago. And actually a Scottish customer, just for you, Alistair. They wanted to come over here and enjoy the sunshine and the golf. So we are seeing people, they're buying sight unseen. We're doing virtual tours, lots of videos. Typically they know the area, so it's more about choosing the house first.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. And is it a similar thing for you, Zoe? What's interest been like for you?
Yeah, I'll be glad of a rest. I'll be honest with you. We've been really busy. And I say that, to our surprise, given that we're going through a global pandemic. You would have thought perhaps the reverse would have been true, but we just haven't had a time to catch breath. So, we're fortunate, we're lucky, and we're pleased. We're very lucky because we are a long-standing company. We have worked with a lot of our people for some years now. So what we've found is a lot of those people that we've met maybe a couple of years ago that had expressed an interest, but the time hadn't been right, that what this pandemic did give them was obviously the time to kind of come down a little and come away from the usual kind of rat race and kind of recenter and refocus on what they want to do. And we found a lot of people have been coming to us saying, do you know what, life's too short, we need to look into this, we need to get informed, and we want to do this. And we've had a good mix of those people that have wanted to buy investment, vacation homes here, those that want to buy homes that they want to use themselves and perhaps not rent out. But also a lot of people that are saying, we've had it with wherever they're living, and, we want to look to come to Florida now and to actually make a life there and live there. So it's quite a mixed bunch, but the interest is definitely there.
Okay, great. Just before we get into the destination information. We'll do a quick poll and just find out where our attendees, our audience, are looking to buy, and of course it's then up to you panelists to convince them to come over to your patch if it's not there. But so let's have a look. If everyone listening could just choose one of the options that comes up now. Where in Florida are you planning to buy? Are you looking at the Orlando Disney area, on or near the Gulf or the West Coast, on or near the East Coast? We're still not sure, so you're game for being converted. So unsurprisingly, Orlando is taking about 50%. Yeah. Okay. Share results. So can you all see that? So yeah, Orlando Disney is just under 50%. Gulf Coast 14%, and a little bit of interest on the East Coast. And then there's 34% who are ready to listen and be convinced where to buy. Okay. So John, just looking at the Orlando Central Florida area first, we'll tackle that first. It is the biggest interest. We all know the theme parks are there. That's got all the leisure, the bright lights, the entertainment attractions. Could you just talk us through the main areas where, so a lot of people listening, they may have been there for a holiday once or twice and been to the same area, but you know, there are different communities and different areas there. If you just want to talk us through them and say, you know, why you'd buy in one or the other. And while you do that, I'm just going to bring a map up to hopefully help you do this. So share.
That's good. There's a lot of, okay, let's see if it's there. Perfect. As you'll see on the map, we've got off to the right, you're going to have the East Coast, which is everything off the Atlantic. Cocoa Beach, Melbourne Beach, Vero Beach. In the center, we've got, it's naturally called Central Florida, but then you've got Orlando, Kissimmee. A lot of your short-term rental, if you're looking to buy to let, you're probably going to want to look and focus more in the Central Florida area if you're looking at more as an investment property. If you're going to either coast, which is nice, you're only about an hour either way, you can look at whether it's Melbourne Beach or come over to Tampa, Sarasota area. Richard actually put up a nice map, which is what we've put together. It's called the Golden Triangle. Disney is right off of I-4, and what we try to do is talk to you and find out what are you wanting out of the property? Are you wanting it to just strictly be an investment and I wanted to generate income? Then we're going to look in what we call resort type communities, something where there's a clubhouse, there's a community pool, maybe even a water park sometimes. I mean, we've got builders now who've built $1 million, what do you call it? The flume, like that's on the ship.
Flow rider.
Flow rider, yes. So it's one of those that you can go as grandiose as you want, or you can go and just, I'd like a house with a pool detached. I can come over, use it when I want, and lock it up and leave it when I don't want to. But you'll find out when you look at that map, it kind of resembles a little bit of a triangle. That is the most desirable location. If you can stay in that area, you're definitely going to be within a 20-25 minute drive to Disney. You've got all the restaurants, shopping, and it's where most renters are wanting to stay. And right now, we have got a lot of new builds who are coming in. The construction companies are coming in and actually building really beautiful resorts. So if it was me, you're going to find most everything you're looking for there. Or like we just actually had a couple customers who have sold their Kissimmee properties and now have moved over to Melbourne Beach area, and they are looking to just have some relaxation time over there. So
okay,
let us know.
Sorry, just to give a bit of an idea of transfer time and driving, we've got Orlando International Airport is up here in the top right of this box.
Right.
What's your transfer from there to somewhere like Champions Gate, or even right down to the bottom, Southern Dunes? What are we looking at there?
you're going to be anywhere from about 30 minutes, sometimes max about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Everybody knows I-4, 417. We've got a couple good interstate systems. Now, the other thing that people might not know, they might know, depending on what airlines they've flown, we also have Sanford Orlando International Airport, which is just a little bit farther north, right up the 417. So you might have a 45-minute drive instead of a 30-minute drive, but Sanford Orlando is a very good airport to fly into. The other two that you might not have known about and you might not even look is Melbourne is an international airport, which is over on the East Coast. And you also have Tampa, which is an international airport. So you could fly East Coast, West Coast, or two of them directly in Central Florida.
Okay. And Zoe, we've touched about different communities, and we know that within this triangle here, we'll talk about rentals a bit later because this is very important if you're looking for a rentable property in the Orlando area. But can you just talk us through the different types of communities? Because some are older and more established with fewer facilities, and then you've got brand new sparkling ones where you're getting water slides and all sorts of things. And this will affect your buying decision, obviously, what you're looking for, and also your running costs because you're going to have HOA fees. And I noticed that on your event show page, you've featured one called Water Song. And I think you've said previously that's quite a popular one historically with British buyers. So maybe just highlight a bit about that and give us an idea of prices as well.
So let's see, starting off with the beginning part of what you were asking about, Richard, in terms of the different communities, like anywhere, Florida and Central Florida obviously had to start somewhere. And so some of the older communities, the original communities, are the likes of some of the ones that are highlighted on the map that you can see there. So Highlands Reserve is a very good example of that. There are other ones people might have heard of, Tuscan Hills, West Haven, Tuscan Ridge, Orange Tree, High Grove. There's some of the older communities, the ones that were put in place first. And obviously at that point, there was only a handful of communities. There weren't actually that many communities to choose from, and they were quite spread out. So for example, Orange Tree is one that's up in Claremont, which on the map you've got at the moment is up the top left, where you can see, yeah, that's it. And so just at the top of the 27, which is the road you can see to the left of the map there, just up there is Claremont. Now, not that many people will have heard of Claremont, but it's an area that is within the short-term vacation zoning area. And what a lot of people like about that area is that it's a little bit more on the residential side, in terms of sometimes people don't want to have Disney and Mickey Mouse and feel like they're right on top of the theme parks. And so some of the areas in Claremont are really quite pretty. A lot of the lots there are bigger lots. You feel like your neighbours aren't on top of you. And it's a little bit more residential. There's lovely golf courses up there. There's lovely nature reserves that you can go and walk around, hiking, laking, that kind of stuff. And then equally, if we go down the 27 towards the bottom of that map, if you can see where it says kind of Highlands Reserve to the Publix to Posner Park, that kind of area there is main heart of Davenport. And that's a place that a lot of people will have heard of. When you start talking to people about communities, that's where you might find the Tuscan Ridges, the West Havens, that kind of stuff. The new one, or more new, relatively new, I should say, where you've got the I-4 and it says Solterra Resort. That's a good example of a newer resort type community that you see a lot more of the new builds now have got the resort facilities, gated, guarded communities, just to give that element of safety and feeling of safety to people living there. But they've also got these fabulous resort facilities there. So like some of what John was mentioning before, the water slides, the clubhouses, tennis courts, some of them have man-made beaches in there. I mean, the things that they have in these communities now are just spectacular. They really are, you know, knocking it out of the park. And so a lot of them have a lot of things to offer to those that want to have more of a resort feel type community. And then finally, the other area is going over to the right-hand side where it says Kissimmee. And that's a name that I'm sure a lot of people will have heard of. It's one of the popular names that people have heard of. And a lot of people feel that they need to be in Kissimmee because it's very close to Disney World and the theme parks. And there's new and old build there. So it all depends on what you're looking for. Some people are looking to rent out. So there's a certain type of house you would look for that. And then some people are looking just to reside in it or just, you know, their own personal use. But they're kind of the three main areas. You asked me to touch on Watersong, and that's a little further down in Davenport, and where you can see on your map where it says Providence Golf Course towards the bottom, and this, the 17 road, that's where Watersong is, next to Providence. Again, a newer type community. It's been open a number of years now, but a newer one in terms of the older ones is what I mean. And again, a fabulous, luscious landscapes, gated community, nice big homes. And the thing about Watersong that's different to a lot of the other communities is that they all back onto conservation or water views. And that's been a real hit with people buying and particularly renters looking to have no rear neighbours and have, you know, that privacy at the back of the property. So it's a really good one to look out for. The houses are nice and big. The rental rates are very good. So yeah, definitely one to look out for.
Okay, thanks very much. And just quickly, so we get an idea of what's on the market and what your money buys you there at the moment. I think, John, you sent these two properties in. So if we look at the first one, the single story, just tell us very briefly what price is this on for at the moment and how many bedrooms and sort of facilities?
The top one is a 5-bed, 3-bath. It's in Highlands Reserve. I've lived here since '72, and actually I've owned 3 different times in Highlands Reserve. I love the community. It's a golf course community. It's right in the middle of all of the attractions where you want to be, but it's far enough away to where when you come home, you're home. You've got a nice Publix grocery store right next door. That backs onto, as Zoe was saying, backs onto the nature preserve, so you've got no homes behind it. And what's nice is you kind of have to look to see, but there's actually no one actually going to build behind it because it's actually zoned for conservation behind where the house is. So there can't be any other building there. That property, you're going to be looking right around the high 300s, low 400s. It's got an extended pool deck. It's west facing, so you got really great views out the back of it for rental potentials. The bottom one is going to be a 2-story. That's kind of where a lot of people are looking at next, because you can do 2 or even sometimes 3 different families can come into a property. They'll have 6, 7, 8 bedrooms, and everybody has enough space to where they can kind of stretch their legs. You've got an upstairs living room and a games room, or even a cinema room. Downstairs, you've got another one, and then you've got a big pool deck. That one you're going to run probably in the 400s, up maybe as high as 500, just depending on location. That one actually backs right onto the golf course that was on the 10th fairway in Champions Gate. So you've got a few different choices, but you can go anywhere from the low to mid 200s all the way up to, I mean, we've got homes right now over $1 million, but they're generating $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in income too. So it just depends what you're looking for.
Okay, great. Alistair, I know you sell right across Florida, and you know, you sell around the Disney area as well. What are your typical clients spending at the moment? I mean, are you dealing in the sort of $400 or $500 plus, or are you getting people? I mean, can you find stuff in the $200,000-$300,000 bracket as well?
Absolutely. So simply put, for us, there's no such thing as a norm at the moment, Richard. We've got products that we can find on the condo hotel side, some of the smaller sized homes, studios and 1-bedrooms for a little bit less than $200,000. And we can certainly go up all the way. We have homes that are regularly looked at in the sort of mid 400s to 500s. That's definitely the case. 2 things that I think we should look at just now, just very quickly. Prior to this pandemic situation, there was a trend for visitors to Central Florida. And remember, it's important, although we're all kind of focusing on the UK and international business, because that's what we do, we have to remember it's still only around 10% of the business of all of Central Florida. So for 2018, for example, I don't remember the number from last year, but in 2018, it was about 70 something million people came. 65 million of them were from domestic travelers. So even although domestic travelers are still coming and international are not, there's still huge demand to come away from hotel accommodation into either villas, townhouses, or condominiums. Now, with the pandemic, this pandemic, we're seeing more people looking for properties either to own and rent in single-family homes, the kind of the product that John has just showed us here on Highlands Reserve, fabulous homes with great potential to be used and rental. So just brilliant product. So we see more and more people looking for that. We have, through our Sotheby's business, which is based in Orlando, a bit like Zoe said at the start, huge demand from North America for people to buy homes. Can't even hardly keep homes on the market, and there's no embellishment with that. That's just a fact right now. And for lots of other reasons, people are coming to Orlando from the Northeast, largely due to tax and taxation up there. So Orlando is just a massive global destination, but demand from domestic side is big. So we're seeing, for $300,000 to $450,000, Richard, you're going to have a wide selection of homes, either on the new build or on the resale that have been previously enjoyed.
Okay. And you mentioned the condo hotel style earlier on, and I think this is worth pointing out again. You've got this on your show listing webpage. You're promoting somewhere called the Grove Resort.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the projects that we know well. We've been heavily involved there for a few years. Hundreds of buyers. We love it. We think it's a great destination. A bit like Zoe said, just to build on that again, you get the same story for most of us, to be honest with you. The fact is that this is a highly amenitized, which just tons of amenities to be used, but you get the safety of having your own place. So if you want to eat, you want to cook, you want to live in your own condo, use the amenities as and when you need them. Go to golf nearby, go to the animal kingdom, go to the parks that are now open and enjoy that. Condo Hotel has the benefit of attracting short-term nightly rental and hospitality management company. Zoe would be the one that would know, I would think, probably most on our call about property management. But the hospitality side usually means that there's a brand there. There's a professional hospitality group that do this for a living and do it really, really well, in addition to the property management side that the other guys would look to. So Condo Hotel is still massively popular from all over the world, and you'll get a fair chance for rental income out of that as well. Okay,
great. Talking about property management, you have to be renting a property out first to need that. So let's just look a bit closer at the whole vacation rental situation. So obviously we've said you need to be within this short-term rental zone, which is the triangular bit on in green on the map. And if you're doing that, what are the next things? What else do you need to consider before you can start renting out your properties area? I mean, do you need to register it? You need to think about changeovers. You're going to have to pay tax, of course. And these are things that you can help with through your property management firm. I mean, that's what most people do, isn't it? They appoint a firm to look after these things for them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and all realtors will be able to point you in the way of a good property management company. I think something that we stand aside on is that in Homes of America, we're all in-house. Whether you like it or not, who you see is who you get. We're a family company, and my sister Kylie, she takes care of all our property management. I take care of the real estate side alongside with my dad Howard, and on the rental side. And so, yeah, we really are in-house, in-family property management. So when we talk about property management and about rentals, we're not talking about things that we've been told or that we've had to research. We know this from doing 20 odd years in the business and knowing what works and what doesn't work. So I just want to give that context. In terms of what you should do, in terms, if you do buy a property that you're then going to rent out, your best thing to do as you're going through the buying process, definitely find yourself a good property management company and be talking to them before you actually make that purchase. Because a lot of what they will tell you, if they're worth anything, that a lot of what they will tell you will feed into your buying process, in fact. And so they might be able to help you in terms of what you should be looking for to make it rent more. You know, there's lots of houses out there. Anybody can tell you a house will rent, but there's actually only a certain number of houses out there that will actually rent and will do it very well. So there are some real kind of tips that you can pick up from people that have been doing it and know it well enough to be able to give you the right information. But in terms of the things you need to do, that property management company should guide you. But you're right, there's things like licenses. In Florida, you have to have 2 different types of licenses. Very easy to get. It's just a case of making a paper application, so there's nothing scary about it. And again, your property management company should be able to help you. One comes from the state, and then one comes from the county that you've actually bought in. But once you've secured those licenses and you're in application, you then are allowed and legal to then start renting your house out, because they see it as a business. So you have to be licensed to carry out that business. But in terms of then things to do with the house, what we do at Homes America is that Kylie, my sister, she will go to the property. She'll walk the property either in person or, you know, virtually these days with the buyer, and will explain out, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, basically. So, you know, if there's things that need to be changed, she'll obviously advise you on that. Equally, she's not looking to start costing you money. If she can keep things in place, then we'll keep it in place. But when you look at a house, there's a certain way that a house can be put together so that it's going to be optimized so that it rents well. And she might be able to help you with that, even down to silly things like a room might have furniture put together in a certain way that she might look at and say, hey, you know, why don't we reconfigure this? Because then it overall has this better look. Because at the end of the day, how you're going to rent your house out is all going to be over the internet mostly, and photographs. And so what people need to see is really good photographs that are going to pop, really kind of sell your house. And people are going to say, wait a minute, I want to stay on this house and I want to rent this house, and forget the rest. So that's what we're that's the eyes that we're looking through when looking at the house with you to see what we can do to improve it.
Okay, let's just, out of interest, let's just see how many of our audience do want to rent out their property in Florida. So if you could just click the relevant answer. Do you intend to rent out your Florida home to holidaymakers? Yes or no? And yeah, 80, it's sort of fluctuating between high 70s, 80%. So that's not surprising, really, is it? Given, I'm sure, based on your experiences. Okay. Well, that's answered certainly all my questions about Disney Orlando. Time's ticking down, so let's head across to the West Coast now, where Pat Tan is on the line. And there we go. Right, so we've got a map to show us. So we're looking primarily Sarasota, as you can see, is sort of up towards the top of that coastline, just below where it says Manatee, and you can see on the main map it's just west, it's below the Gulf, well, the Gulf Coast, below the Gulf of Mexico. Pat, you're in Sarasota. I've been out there, and I've met you out there, and great cultural and exciting city with a great coastal section as well. So could you just tell us what life is like? Why do people buy there and then they don't go to somewhere like Orlando or Disney? What are the big selling points, the big flashing lights that make people go there?
I think we have a very laid-back lifestyle here. We're more beach-based communities, more water-based. So we can get to Orlando and do the theme parks in a couple of hours. We can get up to Tampa very easily within 45 minutes for Busch Gardens and things going on up there. But generally, we are offering a more residential lifestyle without the hustle and bustle of Orlando. So Sarasota, for instance, is, I would call it a big town. It's not a city, but it's a big enough town that it has everything you might need. We are very much beach-based. We have the #1 beach in the US and also one of the top 10 beaches in the world. But we have a lot of other things too. So we're known as the cultural center of the state, which you mentioned, Richard. So we have everything from our own opera, ballet, which is run by a Yorkshireman, by the way, the Sarasota Ballet. We have our own orchestra. We have 18 live stages in Sarasota, everything from a comedy club through cabaret stages up to big auditoriums where we have West End-like musicals and big stars come and entertain us. So very diverse range of activities. And Sarasota started as an artist colony, and so we still carry a lot of that art heritage into what we see today. There's always something going on, art and craft shows, exhibits of one kind or another. We have 3 universities in town. 2 of them are really leading universities in their group, private universities. So there's a whole angle of education to our living too. And our school system, which is why I moved here, in 1997 with my 2 young children, our school system is one of the best in the state. So we have great education system. And what that actually means is it attracts families to come and live here. So we have a very diverse, we have a younger population than many other parts of coastal Florida in particular, which, we're known for to be the retirement state. So when you talk about being old in Florida, we're usually talking about old here means mid-80s to mid-90s, okay? Everyone else is young. Sarasota, our average age is 47, so we're quite young. If we move down to the Naples area, their average age is about 60. Up into St. Pete, Clearwater area, they're a little bit younger too, so they're back in the high 40s. So we are a retirement destination, we are beaches, but waterfront living, but we offer a lot of other things too.
Just looking at the beaches as well, perhaps just outline what you get in the Keys there, because I remember going there. You took me around and showed me, and there's some fantastic. Well, Siesta Key is obviously very famous, but also Longboat Key, and that's a different market, is it? To say people buying 10 minutes from the coast on the mainland in Sarasota. I mean, there's a definite beach vibe there as well, and some very, very nice properties at Longboat Key.
Yeah, I mean, each key actually has its own characteristics too. So Longboat Key is very manicured. Everything is beautifully kept. A lot of condos, but they do have single family homes and villas too. But beach, you can find something on the beach with nice beach views, starting from about $450,000. If you go to the other side of the key, then you're looking across the waterway back towards the mainland. That's actually a really nice view, particularly at night, because you get the lights in the distance. 1-bedroom condos on that side of the island start in the mid-3s. So Longboat Key is very controlled, very well kept. It is pretty seasonal, I would say. So if you're there in the summer, there aren't many people around, but in the winter, which is our high season, we have everything is fully booked, year on year. Very hard to find somewhere to stay. A little bit further down Siesta Key, which is my own personal favorite, Richard. It's actually much more rustic. It's much more natural looking. So yes, we have beachfront condos. Yes, we have houses. But when you drive, there's a lot of green and it's very, very natural. Siesta Key Village is quite vibrant at night. There's a whole part of the village which young people like. So I have 2 sons, both in their 20s. That's where they would go to drink, dance, live music. At the same time in the village, there are bars offering live music where people of my age go. So they're playing 1980s music and everybody's feeling really good. So very different characteristics. And then a little bit further south, we have Minnesota Key, for instance, which is very quiet if you want to be a recluse. Stephen King, for instance, has a house on Casey Key. He doesn't talk to anybody. He lives behind very high walls. We have something for everybody on those coastal areas. But a lot of British buyers in particular, when they come, they look at the coast, they like the idea of being at the beach, but honestly, they want a little bit more room. They want a bigger house. So they often move on to the mainland, and the mainland, we have everything to offer. We have everything from condos through homes. The further east you go, typically, the cheaper it's going to be because the land becomes cheaper, but you're never more than 20 minutes away from the beach.
Right, and there's a couple of properties here as well that I know you're listing at the moment. I mean, the first one on the right, the single-story homes, that's typical, is it, of your market at the moment? Just tell us about that.
Yeah, a lot of our homes are just like the houses you saw in Orlando, similar style properties. I chose this one today because it has that real Mediterranean look, barrel tile, paver drive.
Yeah.
This is a 3-bedroom with a den or an office, however you want to call that. Has a beautiful pool area at the back. It is a 5-minute drive from the beach, literally. And it is only 3 years old, very high standard of build, high quality finishes, and that's on the market at $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we do cost a little bit more because our land is more expensive than in Central Florida. But we also build slightly different style homes too. We're building more permanent residential homes rather than, it's very hard, for instance, to find a 7 or 8 bedroom home here. You'd be buying a mansion. So we tend to be 3 to 5 bedrooms is our norm.
And this other one you've picked out as well, the Strand, which is looks like a new condo development on the waterfront.
Yeah, I chose this because I think what we're seeing a lot of right now, we're seeing a lot of lifestyle buyers, so people who are coming up to retirement and they want walkability. And our downtown area is very vibrant, very walkable, and this is on the edge of downtown. It is a brand new building coming up, only 66 units, so it's going to be quite small and intimate, has everything you'd expect, a cabana bar, a swimming pool, has boat docks, so if someone wants to get out and hire a boat or, keep their own boat there, that's available too. And these are starting from $250,000. So really good value and a great location close to town.
And just tell us quickly as well about reaching Sarasota and the Keys and that area of coast from the UK. Are you flying into Orlando, or Sarasota has an airport, Tampa maybe?
Yeah, we've actually got a lot of choices for flights. Tampa is the closest international airport to us. British Airways and Norwegian both were running regular flights there before the pandemic. Norwegian is a great budget airline, so they have a lot of capacity too. So they were bringing in a lot more people than we were used to seeing directly. A lot of my clients still come into Orlando because they like the idea of spending a few days in Orlando, seeing Mickey Mouse for a day or two and then driving over to their house on the coast and maybe doing the same thing on the way back. Sarasota Airport is my personal favorite. It's like traveling back in time. No international flights unless you count Canada. I guess I shouldn't say that. We do have direct flights from Canada. But when I fly to the UK, for instance, we have about 8 or 10 flights a day from Sarasota to Atlanta. So I get a little feeder flight into Atlanta and then I get directly to the UK from Atlanta. The reason I like it is if you get there and there are more than 3 people in front of you in the queue to check in, that's a busy day. More than 4 people at security, that's a busy day. So it's very easy. You get in and out really quickly. Fort Myers has its own international airport a little bit further down south. They have direct flights from Germany. 2 German airlines are flying in there on a regular basis during the winter months. And then we also have people who fly into Miami because they can find a cheap flight from Miami, and it's 3.5 hours drive to get up here. So a lot of choices.
That's great. And the other place we ought to mention, because I know you do sell down there, is Naples, which is very well known and exclusive to some extent, retirement destination. Just give us an idea of the properties and prices down there And its golf courses is a big thing there, isn't it? Naples, is that right? As
Yes, yeah, they have a beach in Naples. It's not as extensive as some of the other areas on the west coast, so they do have beach life. Lots of gated communities. So if you're going to buy in Naples, you're probably going to be in a gated community that's very well kept. The old part of Naples, Fifth Avenue in Naples, is very attractive, nice walkable restaurants, a little bit of nightlife there. Properties in Naples cost about 20 to 25% more than Sarasota, so they're a little bit more expensive. And you come up the coast to the Fort Myers area, and Fort Myers is probably 20% cheaper than Sarasota. So we have a lot of different price ranges. Fort Myers has a lot of very reasonably priced waterfront properties. So if you are a boater, Fort Myers tends to draw people who want to live on the water and go boating rather than the beach kind of people. Again, it does have a beach, not as extensive as some of the other areas though.
Okay, thank you very much. Just conscious of the time, but we do have enough time to hop over now to the East Coast. Here we are. Up to the Space Coast, as Alistair referred earlier. I mean, we know, we've all heard of Miami, and obviously Boca Raton and West Palm Beach, but this is a bit different, isn't it, Alistair? Can you introduce us to the Space Coast and the area? I know we were talking about Volusia County, Daytona, of course. Just tell us about that, please.
Absolutely. So we've got a slightly different tone here. Pat referred to, water and beach being important on the West Coast. Similarly, the same thing for us here on the East Coast. We love this area primarily because of the value and its authenticity. This is, certainly John Penny will know this from his time down in Melbourne and that area. It's a very authentic part. Traditional tourism, the way that we would look on it for the package traveler, this is not what we're going to see here. This is a kind of snowbird, a little bit of more of a domestic traveler, but now we're seeing that that growth from Orlando over to the Daytona area. Most people will be familiar with Daytona, the massive beaches, the depth of beach, and then if we come just a little bit further south, we come down to the Space Coast, Kennedy Space Center, and all the exciting things that have happened there have grown, the area largely because of that. But at the same time, we've got people at places like New Smyrna Beach, we've got Ormond Beach, and we have Daytona itself. Now we've taken the view, and we do things a wee bit differently. We're also now starting to build our own products, Richard, in Daytona. So this year we're going to launch a townhouse and a condominium project. Really interesting one on LPGA International for those golfers that are watching in today that are looking for a little winter golf destination. You'll have a 2 or 3 bedroom condo with us from the mid 200s on a golf course, a very famous golf course, LPGA International, the home of the LPGA. And then further south in Venetian Bay. Venetian Bay was a master plan community, about 20 years old, and has developed into a really remarkable destination. We're about 15 minutes, 16 minutes from the water and downtown into New Smyrna Beach, which if you haven't had a look at, for those people that are looking for something a bit different, that 20%, Richard, I think you said 80% of the people had said about rental. This is probably more than the 20%. This is more for the people that are looking for that winter destination. To put it in perspective, I hate to jump to the numbers, but if you look at the value for money on the townhouse that we would build at Venetian Bay, which would be at the Isles, we're going to launch that later this month. You'll get almost 3,000 square feet for a little bit less than $400,000. and a remarkably well finished home. So we're a little bit less than the 2 or 3 bedroom condo that you would see close to Disney, half the size. Now, you have to balance one out against the other. So for the longer term, rental is a possibility, but only in 6-month increments, right? So it's really for that winter seasonal rental or a summer rental, which is harder to find, to be honest with you. But we love New Smyrna Beach. It's a beautiful little town with beautiful beaches, great little artisan shops, a Florida of old, to be honest with you. Like everyone else, I've been actually out in Orlando since 1991. And I remember little towns like this, even down in Pat's neighborhood in those days, and falling in love with Florida and traveling and get to know it. This is one of those places. It really is. 60 to 75 minutes away from all the fun and the activity and the madness that is Disney, which we all love and we thrive on. All of a sudden you're decompressing and you're walking up and down traditional beachfront walks and just beach walks and just loving beautiful sunrises and sunsets too. So we love the balance that it gives, and we've started to see a shift from our markets in Canada. I think Pat mentioned that. Flying directly into Daytona is pretty easy from the north. There are no international flights from the UK to Daytona, but with Sanford International that John Penny mentioned earlier, just 45 minutes to an hour away. That's, you want that little decompression time to get there. And of course, you're going away from all the traffic. So for the most part, you're heading out in the right direction. So we're building great homes, and we've got beautiful destination up. For everybody seeing the map, if you look towards Ormond Beach to the top of your map, Hunter's Ridge, we've introduced something a little different for this season. We have a unique product in America, well, maybe not completely unique, but a highly demanded product for 55 plus communities. So people that are 55 or older, certainly wouldn't be anybody in this panel that would be that age, but if there was, they would qualify to come and live in one of these deed restricted communities where everything is taken care of. And we had seen a community that we just loved, and the value was crazy. For a little bit more than 200,000, you're getting a share of a duplex or a triplex, which 2 or 3 homes stuck together, for a little bit more than $200,000. And just peaceful living with some amenities and clubhouse and the kind of things that we would expect to see in the States. So fabulous value for money. And every one of these products is a little different when it comes to mortgaging. There'll be different rates and different packages available, but there's mortgage for everybody in all of the products that all of us have shown today in this great state of Florida.
Okay, thanks very much. We've had a few questions, so I'm going to get to those before we run out of time. But I know, John, you wanted to say something about Melbourne Beach as well, which is also on the East Coast.
It is.
Tell us why we might want to buy there.
It's a little bit farther south from Daytona. The nice thing, though, is it's a direct shot right off 192. You can head and you'll literally run right into Melbourne Beach. We've got a new community, and if you're familiar, if you've driven on the beach before, you'll know that A1A is the main road that runs north-south, runs right on the ocean. And we've got a new community that is already coming out of the ground right now. There's homes already being built, but there's going to be single-family homes and condos. The good thing about it is it's a little sliver that got grandfathered in, and it's allowed for short-term rental. So we have people who are looking that still like the idea of renting them out, but would like to also rent when they're not using it, staying there themselves, and direct beach access right on the Atlantic Ocean and river access. It's going to have boat docks, community pool, clubhouse, starting around 250,000 up to about 600, 700,000. So it's a little farther south from Daytona, but we're in the Space Coast, Kennedy Space Center. If you want to go to the ocean and just sit on the beach all day, you can do that too. It gives people another option instead of, if they don't want to be in Orlando, you can still be right on the ocean for under $300,000.
And how far are you from Orlando there in Melbourne Beach?
That one, I can be from my office here in Kissimmee, I can be there in about an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, nothing. Okay. And that's your best flight option as well, is it? Orlando for there?
Orlando comes right in, and Melbourne is also another one. Melbourne has an international airport. We'd have to check to see what airlines will fly in there, but I mean, you would be literally 15, 20-minute stops from the Melbourne airport right to that location.
Okay, great. Couple of questions while we're on the East Coast. Delia A asks, is it more affected, more prone to hurricanes than the West Coast?
Well, this is a question that comes up. It's a good one. It's a question that comes up. There's actually, it's bizarre. There are some great statistics, Richard, that show that that little sliver of beach from Volusia, actually just where John is talking about Melbourne, just kind of working its way up. There's a little inshot there in the state. And believe it or not, if you look at the statistics over the last 20 or 30 years, less chance of a hurricane there than anywhere else in the state of Florida. Sorry for everybody else on the call, but it's the truth. Well, apart from Central Florida, of course, because, you know, we virtually see nothing in Orlando. But the answer to that's the answer to the question.
Right there.
Okay, and then another question from the same lady, Delia A, about the West Coast. Somewhere with fewer alligators. Is it a problem on the West Coast, Pat, or is it?
Well, I think we have alligators throughout the state, but alligators don't like salt water. So if you buy something on the beach or, you know, on the water itself, alligators will not be an issue. When you go inland, obviously alligators like stagnant water, they like lakes. As long as you don't buy anything on a big body of water, you're less likely to see alligators. We occasionally, probably less than once a year, we hear about an alligator being removed from a golf course or something like that because they're getting too close to the people. So we do have them, but they tend to keep themselves to themselves.
Okay, so not too much to worry about. No.
No.
Alistair, a question's come up about let me just find it. It was about the last development you talked about, 55.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah. What sort of costs costs come with that in terms of monthly fees and things like that?
So HOA fees that we're all familiar with, we would see running costs in there from about $400 a month up to about $525. Just depends on the size of the home that you end up with. But yeah, somewhere in there would cover absolutely every piece of maintenance. There'd be nothing left for anybody to do. The builders are described as maintenance-free living, and it literally is that.
Okay, thanks very much. We've had a few questions as well about opening bank accounts in the USA. Someone was asking, can they do this before they come out to buy? Is this to save time, or what is the situation doing that? Zoe, is it a reasonably comprehensive process, or I mean, presumably you help people do that, clients do that all the time?
We do, yes. Yeah, normally you would, when you come across a new view and you go to buy a house, you would obviously go to a bank and open a bank account. And that's what the vast majority of banks over here would need, is for you to be physically present. But there are certain banks here that are working around the current situation and are offering workarounds, and they can open a bank account for anybody that's not based in Florida. They obviously have certain things they need to go through, but it's nothing cumbersome, nothing tricky. It's just information, checking your identity, that kind of stuff. They do it all the proper way. It's just that it's the new world we're living in. They're just finding workarounds to assist people because people are still buying and they still need US bank accounts.
Yeah. Okay. Another question here about buying land, presumably to build on. Well, yet to build on. Can you get a mortgage to do that, or how easy is it to do that? And also, do any of you help with the whole construction, design and construction, or presumably you would know people who would be able to do that. That's from Lorna Duncan. John, can you answer that?
That's actually a very good question. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can buy the land and build on it. You do have to go through planning permission, but we actually work with what's called general contractors who will help design and lay out a floor plan, what you can build, your setbacks from property lines and everything else. The good thing we have over here is what's called a construction to perm loan, which what that means is the general contractor will do draws along the way as he's building the property all the way to permit. So it's one of those that you don't have to come out with $200,000 or $300,000 cash out of pocket. The builder will do draws against it, and then you'll do a final permit, which is your occupancy, and then it'll go ahead and close. So there are multiple options for doing it, where you can buy a vacant piece of land, hold on to it, pay $100 or $200 a year in taxes, whatever that might be, and sit on it for a few years, or you can go ahead and start building right away.
Okay, thanks. And is it something people do down on the West Coast, Pat? Do you see much of that?
Yeah, we do. We see a little bit south of here, there's an area called Northport where you can buy a plot of land for, $3,000, $5,000 even. So we see a lot of custom homes being built down there. The other end of the spectrum, we also see people buying waterfront property and building big mansions. But as John said, the US finance system is such that there are several ways to achieve that. And once you buy the land, you build the house, then they convert those building loans into a mortgage, a more traditional mortgage. So it's very cost effective.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm just conscious of the time. Mortgages is another good topic, and we have had a question or two about it, but we'll cover that in the masterclass on next weekend. Or weekend. So 20th September. Yeah, so we are out of time. Just quickly to say that all of our panelists, you'll find their details on A Place in the Sun digital.co.uk website, and you can get back in touch with them via that website. So please do, whether you've got more questions, if you want to make an appointment with them, an online appointment with them, please do that. But they'll all be back as well on the 20th of September for the Florida Masterclass, when, as I said, we'll go into far more detail about the finer points of buying in Florida, buying process, mortgage, visa options, how you stay there for 3 months, a year or more, all those sorts of things. So please do come back. We hope this has been a good introduction to you finding the ideal home that you're looking for, whether it's on the coast, the Atlantic seaboard, or the Gulf Coast, giving you a bit of a flavour of what each of those areas offers. And of course, not forgetting Central Florida, Orlando, Disney. So yeah, any other questions, get back in touch with our panelists, and we hope you'll come back on the 20th of September. Otherwise, good luck in the meantime, and thank you very much for listening. And thank you to our panelists as well. Thanks, Zoe, John, Alistair, and Pat. Thank you.